Hi there, I'm Dave Bryce with PreSonus' Professional Products Division, and we are here today to talk about subwoofers. To understand what the deal is with subwoofers, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Question number one is, why do I want a subwoofer? There are a variety of reasons for having a subwoofer in the studio. You want to make sure that your mix top to bottom is as perfect as it can be, and the subwoofer is the ideal way to be able to do that. But not everybody wants to use it for mixing. Another thing that people like to use subwoofers for is, well, it's fun to have a sub on if you're doing like bass tracks or drum tracks or guitar tracks, and to get that extra crunch and punch. You've got a bass player in your studio and you kick in the subwoofer, that he's really feeling it. So a subwoofer can be very useful in that respect too, not just as a critical mixing tool. One of the practical reasons to add it to a studio is that, well, everybody likes full range and everybody likes big, deep sound. But to be able to get that out of a traditional two-speaker setup, you require pretty big, pretty expensive speakers. In those instances, it's a good idea to add a subwoofer to something like the PreSonus Scepter, a smaller two-way speaker, to give you all the benefits of the larger full-range speaker system at a fraction of the cost and much easier space consideration. One of the things you may have heard about subwoofers is, well, it's a bad idea to put them into studios because it ruins the low end. It's hard to get them to perform dependably. The low end can be flabby. As a rule, those things are only true if your subwoofer is incorrectly chosen or incorrectly set up. A well set up subwoofer is the key to everything, and it's something that we're going to go into about how to best do that. Now, understand something here, and this is really important. We're going to give you a couple of tips and tools that may help you to get your subwoofer set up. However, your taste is everything. If you set up a subwoofer so that you like the way it sounds and you like the way it performs, then for all intents and purposes, it's correct. You have to have faith in your ears when you're setting up a full range speaker system in general, but especially with a subwoofer, because you can do things according to how an instruction manual tells you to set up a subwoofer and have it not quite sound right. But then if you leave it like that, when you go to mix, you're going to compensate for it. And what it's going to do is it's going to screw up your mixes. So it's really, really important to get the subwoofer to a place where you are happy with the way it sounds. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at the controls on the back panel. This is what's known as a bass management system. It looks a little complicated, but once you understand what it's doing, it's pretty easy to understand. First of all, let's take a look over at this side of the speaker. The PreSonus Temblor T10 provides XLR inputs, quarter-inch balanced inputs, and RCA unbalanced inputs, assuring that no matter what you're using for a source, you're going to be able to connect to it easily. Right now, let's take a set of wires that are going to our mixer. These are TRS balanced cables, and plug it into the left and right jacks in the input field. The subwoofer will then handle the crossover and what's distributed to the satellite speakers. The Temblor T10 also provides an input gain knob, which will let you match the subwoofer to the source. You notice that we have XLR and quarter-inch outputs as well. We're going to connect to the Scepter two-way speakers in the back that are acting as our satellites. The low-pass filter sets the point at which the subwoofer rolls off. So we're going to start at 80 hertz. You can see there's a little dot right there. So we're going to set the sub to 80 hertz first of all. Now, as it's set right now, the subwoofer will stop at 80 hertz, but the satellites that are plugged into the bass management system will still be running full range. In order to achieve an immaculate crossover point, the high-pass filter switch down here, when turned on, I've just cut the satellites off at 80 hertz. So now the satellites stop below 80 hertz. The subwoofer goes up to 80 hertz, making the crossover point very reliable. Now notice that I'm using XLR outs and quarter-inch ins. That's okay. Anything patched to this side will be connected to that side, even if you mix and match what kind of jacks you're using. So let's plug those in now. The Temblor T10 features a sub-out jack. What the sub-out jack does is it takes the signal that's being passed to this subwoofer and sends it unaffected to other subwoofers so that you can daisy chain the two of them together. One of the most common requests with subwoofers is the ability to turn the sub on and off or engage and disengage it so you can hear the effect that it's having. Many subwoofers do not allow you to do that if you're using their bass management system. Some do though, and the Temblor T10 is one of them. comes with a handy-dandy foot switch that will allow you to do this easily. You take the foot switch, connect it to the sub bypass jack, like so. And then when you step on it, the subwoofer is bypassed. However, not only is the sub bypassed, but the satellites, which we've shelved at 80 hertz, are now also returned to full range signal. Another feature of the Temblor T10 is that this foot switch is included. Thank you for taking the time and enjoy your new Temblor T10 subwoofer.